As the second member of the Straw Hat Pirates, Zoro has carried numerous swords over the course of the series. In this video, I'll explain each blade he's used, uncovering their backstory and significance while leaving out non-canon material.
Huh? But I can't pay for these!
You can have them.
Yeah!
They're blunt, though.
At the start of his journey in One Piece, Zoro carried 2 unnamed katanas along with the Wado Ichimonji. As the originator of the distinctive 3-sword style, Zoro travels with 3 blades. These swords were a gift from the Wano swordsmith Shimotsuki Kozaburo, who, recognizing Zoro's determination to surpass Kuina, kindly gave him the 2 katanas he had forged himself. In addition to crafting swords, Kozaburo shared his deep knowledge about the essence and function of blades with Zoro during his youth. These 2 katanas could be considered the weakest Zoro ever used, as they were shattered during his duel with Mihawk, the world's greatest swordsman in the Baratie arc.
It didn't fall. That's one good thing. Wado Ichimonji.
The Wado Ichimonji is a powerful and cherished sword that has been a vital part of Zoro's arsenal since the beginning of his journey. Forged by the legendary swordsmith Shimotsuki Kozaburo, who fled Wano country 55 years ago, the blade's origins trace back to Shimotsuki village in the East Blue. Kozaburo became the father of Zoro's mentor Koshiro and the grandfather of his rival and friend Kuina. During their training, Zoro challenged Kuina to a duel with real swords where she borrowed Wado Ichimonji and defeated him with relative ease. Following Kuina's untimely death, the sword remained with Koshiro until Zoro, aspiring to become the world's strongest swordsman, requested it. Koshiro honored the request, thereby entrusting the blade to Zoro. Unlike Zoro's other swords, Wado Ichimonji is exceptionally durable, capable of withstanding a strike from Mihawk's blade Yoru, a supreme grade sword and the world's strongest black blade. Recognized as one of the 21 great grade swords, it ranks among the world's most powerful blades. Swords are classified into 4 tiers, with supreme grade at the top, followed by great grade, skillful grade, and finally grade blades. The sword's prestige was further evident when Tashigi, a sword enthusiast, recognized its value during a visit to a sword shop in Logetown. Following the time skip, Zoro's increased strength, advanced techniques, and skill of armament haki significantly enhanced Wado Ichimonji's power and defense. This was demonstrated when he sliced through Pika's enormous form and ultimately defeated him with a decisive haki-infused blow, showcasing the blade's remarkable strength. During Zoro's fight with Mihawk, his dual katanas were shattered, leaving him with only the Wado Ichimonji. Unable to perform his signature 3-sword style, he later borrowed 2 swords from Johnny and Yosaku at Arlong Park to battle Hachi. Following a decisive victory, Zoro just returned the borrowed weapons to his friends.
Well, sounds great to me. I think I'll take it.
Sandai Kitetsu III, like its predecessors in the Kitetsu line, is a notorious cursed blade, being ranked as a 4th-tier grade blade in One Piece. Due to its ominous reputation, many skilled swordsmen who wielded a Kitetsu sword were met with untimely and tragic deaths. This curse made these swords highly feared, with their use becoming so rare that encountering a Kitetsu wielder was considered almost unheard of. This blade was crafted by Kozuki Sukiyaki, the former shogun of Wano, as a replica of the infamous Nidai Kitetsu, one of the 21 great grade swords and also a notorious cursed blade. Eventually exported overseas, it ended up in the possession of Matsu, who placed it among cheap katanas despite its significant value. Fearing its curse, Matsu was reluctant to sell it until Zoro, intrigued by the blade's ominous reputation, showed interest. To prove his resolve, Zoro boldly tested his luck by extending his arm under the sword's falling edge, ultimately keeping it when his fate triumphed over the curse. In admiration of Zoro's bravery and unwavering spirit as a swordsman, Matsu gifted him both the Sandai Kitetsu and another blade at no cost, a gesture of deep respect. Though a grade sword, the Sandai Kitetsu is famed for its remarkable sharpness, making slicing effortless. Its bloodthirsty nature became evident at Whiskey Peak, where it seemed eager to cut without Zoro's intent. Recognizing this, Zoro maintained firm control and eventually mastered the blade through experience and growth. With his enhanced strength and skill, this blade inflicted a severe wound on Hody Jones underwater, withstood a combined attack from Kaido and Big Mom, and eventually briefly clashed with an Elder on Egghead without damage. This sword remains a key part of Zoro's arsenal to this day. Following Zoro's demonstrated mastery over the Sandai Kitetsu's curse, the Logetown shop owner revealed Yubashiri. This was a cherished family heirloom being gifted alongside the Kitetsu, restoring Zoro's three-sword fighting style. As one of the 50 skillful grade swords, Yubashiri stood out for its remarkable lightweight design, enabling swift movements while maintaining impressive sharpness and cutting power. The sword showcased exceptional strength, allowing Zoro to cut a sea train carriage in half alongside Sandai Kitetsu and defend against Kaku's Zoan enhanced 6 powers technique. Despite its durability, Yubashiri met its end when Captain Shu, wielding the Rust fruit, disintegrated it during the events at Eni's lobby. Although Yubashiri was no longer usable, Zoro chose not to discard it out of respect for its service. Instead, he kept its remains sheathed at his side until he found a fitting place to lay it to rest. Honoring its legacy, Zoro later laid the blade to rest at Thriller Bark, burying it alongside the Rumbar pirates' remains. During the Eni's Lobby arc, Zoro found himself in a weird situation where he was handcuffed to Sogeking. With the key held by CP9 members confronting them, Zoro came up with a humorous yet unconventional solution by wielding Sogeking as a substitute sword during the battle. Even though it was mostly played for laughs, it was a memorable moment. As previously mentioned, at the end of Eni's Lobby, Zoro was confronted by Marine Captain Shu, who had consumed the Rust fruit. When Zoro attempted to fight back, Shu swiftly used his powers to destroy Yubashiri. In an effort to maintain his three-sword style, Zoro grabbed a nearby marine sword, using it only temporarily until the crew's eventual escape. Shusui is one of the 21 great grade swords and a legendary black blade once wielded by the renowned samurai Shimotsuki Ryuma. Revered as a national treasure of Wano country, it was buried alongside Ryuma following his death. It's believed the sword only became a black blade after enduring countless battles with its master. The people of Wano were devastated when Gecko Moria, captain of the Thriller Bark pirates, desecrated Ryuma's grave, stealing both the sword and his body. Using the power of the Shadow fruit, Moria reanimated Ryuma as a loyal zombie by implanting a shadow into his corpse. This led to a fierce battle between Zoro and the undead Ryuma. Following Zoro's victory, Ryuma acknowledged his strength and entrusted him with Shusui as compensation. As one of the finest swords in the world, Shusui is notably heavier than Yubashiri and enhances his wielder's destructive power. Zoro himself observed that prolonged combat with Ryuma could have led to Shusui breaking both Sandai Kitetsu and Wado Ichimonji, swords crafted by top Wano swordsmiths. Despite its immense power, Shusui comes with its own set of challenges. It was initially difficult to control due to its excessive weight and tendency to cause uncontrollable destruction, much like the problem child Sandai Kitetsu. Despite this, after 2 years of rigorous training under Mihawk, Zoro mastered the blade, making it his preferred sword. It greatly enhanced his one-sword style techniques, allowing feats such as slicing a massive ship in half and decapitating Dragon Number 13, echoing Ryuma's legendary accomplishment. During his time in Wano, Zoro agreed to return Shusui to its rightful resting place in exchange for a more powerful blade. Upon arriving in Wano country, Zoro was accused by Magistrate Toyama Sujiguro of multiple murders and a desecration of Ryuma's grave, which Shusui presented as incriminating evidence. Forced to commit seppuku, he was handed a ceremonial blade. Instead of complying, Zoro swiftly turned the situation around, using the small blade to strike down his attackers and regain control. After Onimaru stole his sword Shusui, Zoro was left with only 2 blades. Despite this disadvantage, he confronted Kamazo the Manslayer to protect innocent civilians. Though severely wounded by Kamazo's scythe, Zoro seized the sword and turned the perilous situation to his advantage. Wielding the scythe alongside his remaining swords, he executed a devastating 3-sword style onigiri, defeating Kamazo in a fierce battle.
Nah, this one'll do it. Enma, huh? I think I could get used to you.
Finally, Enma, forged by the legendary swordsmith Shimotsuki Kozaburo, stands among the world's finest blades as one of the 21 great grade swords alongside Shusui. Kozaburo himself regarded it as his ultimate masterpiece, surpassing even the esteemed Wado Ichimonji. This powerful blade was once wielded and mastered by Kozuki Oden, a swordsman of immense skill and strength. Sukiyaki described Enma as capable of cutting to the bottom of hell, which was demonstrated when it effortlessly slew the mountain god, clashed with the legendary Whitebeard and inflicted a rare permanent scar on Kaido in his dragon form. Enma possesses a distinct and notorious trait as it releases excessive amounts of his wielder's armament haki. This characteristic made the sword notoriously difficult to master, with only Odin previously taming it. Upon testing the blade, Zoro inadvertently sliced through a cliffside despite only aiming for a tree, while Enma shrunk his arm by forcibly draining his haki. Despite this, Zoro's advanced mastery of haki allowed him to regain control, a feat Sukiyaki praised, noting that ordinary swordsmen would have been killed. With continued mastery, Zoro used Enma to wound Kaido once more, leaving a permanent mark even in his hybrid form, and later delivered a decisive victory against King, Kaido's right-hand man. Sukiyaki shared that if Zoro were to permanently blacken Enma, it could even elevate to the rank of a supreme grade sword, the highest tier, further amplifying his power and further solidifying its legendary status.